Hi folks, Pastor Tina here. Buddy and I are at a horse show. It's the first horse show of the season. It's called the Hairy Horse Show because, the horses are really hairy. And it's really just a practice show. We're here to run through the show, but there's no awards or ribbons or anything. It's just a good time to practice. And what I want to talk about today is fear. Because this horse riding is an interesting thing. And Buddy, by the way, just discovered that his hay bag is in the back of the pickup, so he's having a snack. Beth is not here today. Her horse isn't quite ready, so I'm here alone, just me and Buddy. And it's kind of interesting as I've talked to a couple other older adult riders. I hear this little theme of if I could just get over the nerves, if I could just get over the fear. And when we ride a horse, I think especially as we get older, we become more and more aware that I could come off of this animal and it's a long way down, and I'm not very bouncy this point in my life. And even though Buddy here is just about the most docile critter in the horse world that you can imagine, there's a real element of anxiety, I guess, which I know you're probably thinking, then why do you even do it? And that's actually a good question. I think about scriptures that talk about do not fear, and of course I'm here at the horse show, so I don't have my Bible right with me to quote it directly, but do not fear, and we press on toward the goal. In Hebrews it tells us we press on toward the goal, toward the prize, and do so with perseverance. And I guess this for me is a living, breathing example of doing that. Not to try to prove anything, but the knowledge that the more I ride and the more consistently I ride, the more confident I feel. And I know that right now I haven't been riding much at all, so the confidence level is super low. But I think that's a real testament to life. There are so many times when we have fear, and maybe it's not necessarily fear of our physical safety, but at least fear of doing things, fear of a relationship that might not be going the way that we want it to go, fear of trying new things. I mean, fear comes up a lot. Fear of change, that's a huge one. And yet I think one of the greatest keys to living a successful life of faith is persevering, keeping going, and making that next step, trying hard to not give up. You can see that Buddy is not exactly an aggressive animal. He's mostly into the food. That's his big deal. I think Buddy and I are kind of spirit animals in that. I'm just realizing how noisily Buddy is crunching. I think in the last video I was dealing with wind. Today it's just the background noise of Buddy chomping on his hay. I think fear impacts us all, and it shows its head in a lot of different ways. And it can be fear of not being good enough, or fear of not measuring up to someone else's standards.
Speaking of fear of what other people think, simply by filming and posting this particular video, I'm fearful that other horse people are going to be watching this and having a fit because I'm letting my horse reach in and out of the back of the pickup eating. And they're probably thinking, oh my gosh, this lady doesn't know what she's doing, letting her horse do that. She shouldn't be letting him reach in and out like that. She shouldn't be eating hay with a bit in his mouth. She should be controlling him better than that. I'm telling you, there's a lot of ways to be fearful.
And here's another thought about the fear factor. So, see how I'm wearing a helmet? Most Western riders do not wear helmets. They wear either a cowboy hat or, well, for shows they wear a cowboy hat. I'm the only one here who's wearing a helmet. And this is part of Laird's and my agreement that I can do this horse thing as long as I'll wear a helmet because head injuries are real with horse people. But when I come out to this Western show, I'm the only one wearing a helmet. And that in itself speaks volumes to the rest of the riders because they know how scared I am. It's not just me and my horse. There's other people on their horses in the same arena doing stuff. So even if I feel confident in my horse and safe with him, there's other people, and sometimes their horses are a lot livelier or maybe younger and still learning, and they're like doing things that are unexpected. And a whole lot of, I think, my concern is that somebody else's horse is going to wig out and then run into us and cause a wreck, or cause my horse to freak out as well. And we've had that happen just a smidgen. I mean, not bad at all, but in the last show, maybe it's 2 shows ago. Anyway, one time last year, a girl was riding her horse and it got to bucking with her, and the horse ended up running out. It bucked her off, and then it ran out of the arena and got really close to us. And Buddy kind of spooked and went sideways for a while. In life, I think that's huge too. It's not only that we're concerned about ourselves and our own actions, we don't know what the people around us are going to do. I mean, think about the violence in our nation and teachers who think about going to school. What if there were a shooting in my school? Because it's happened in so many other places. I'm not in control of the actions of other people. It's a true fear. And how do we acknowledge that fear and not fight? Oh, had to listen. I think it's important to acknowledge the fear, but not let it paralyze us so that we don't continue doing the things that we're called to do. I know I'm too fat, and I feel like I'm too old, and I have too much arthritis, and I'm not experienced enough rider, and there's just a whole lot of reasons to not do this. And yet when I do, it's just delightful, and it's so satisfying, and for me it's unusual, and I just love it. It fills my soul to be around God's creatures. So I guess my point is, fear is real. We all deal with it in different ways. The Bible certainly acknowledges it and encourages us to overcome fear, or maybe it's not even overcome fear. Maybe it's just to do it even if you're afraid. So what fear you might be dealing with, and maybe you don't deal with fear at all, but it's just interesting as I talk to other riders. We all have this element of fear, and I think it's the same for whatever you're doing in your life, in your career, in your family, and even in hobbies. It's okay to be afraid. It's okay to have some fear. It's healthy. It's normal. It's how God made us. But don't let the fear stop you from pursuing what it is in life that gives you great joy. Say a little prayer for Buddy and I during this show season, that we will be safe and that fear will not reign. Buddy quit. And that he'll have a little bit better manners as well. I hope you're having a good week. We'll see you next time.